yeah, I see here, feel free to mention your experience or regarding any supporting program. So I can, talk about, different aspects, and it's, totally free to, I don't have to follow any structure or, so that's really up to me, right?
Yes, yeah. And if you want
Perfect.
to run
Okay.
it by your team, run it by anybody. I mean, that's what your team's all about. And I'm still part of the team. You can run it by me, but I do not want to stifle any creativity.
Perfect. Okay.
I want the personalities to come through from the team. I don't want to be mine.
Great. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. So,
Okay. Okay.
I think I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. So
That was all from me.
Rena, since we're new to this is the first time. What we do in the past is, April, you can take guidance from Marina, but at this point you can throw that into the sprint backlog if that's going to be a commitment by Saola. You might want to just then I'll leave it at that. That's my little 2 cents, and then I'll let you guys drive it.
So I'm like, can I also ask you how to, put the members for this backlog team, and maybe we can, help April to add Sayo and Raya to this backlog team card.
Marina, did you put yourself on that, or did I somehow manage to do that?
You did it, I think right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot really see nothing on my screen. It's like.
Okay, so how did I?
Okay, yeah, you wanna remove it? Yeah, right.
There we go. There we go. All right. Yep. So do that.
And we need to add Raya. So,
Raya too. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, well, I didn't hear from Raya. Raya,
yeah,
have any questions for me?
I don't know that Raya's made that commitment yet, has she?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I'll be doing it with Soya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or comments, maybe along the way?
Yeah, so I had a slightly different understanding about this. What I thought that I would have to do is I would speak to as many volunteers possible and get their feedback on their experience as being volunteers, and then make a blog about that. That's what I thought I was expected to do.
Well, it's within the scope.
Okay, because I mean, if I had to write about my experience, I mean, this is just my, second meeting, so it would be very minimal. I mean, of course, I can build on it as the weeks go by. So yeah, so I mean, I had a different understanding. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Right, you bring up a good point. Very good. Yes, this is really tough for a person to right into the first sprint to write something, but it could be any of this. So perfect. That works for you.
I do then have a question, but if this becomes a collaboration, so how are we planning to do this? Because the way I saw this PBI was basically each of us will be, like posting an article. So if it becomes a collaboration effort, so how do we see this happening?
Well, the way I'm hearing from you guys, and this is, this is what I'm hearing. I'm under the assumption that both Saola and Raya want to do their own blog. So you'll both have to learn at the same time, if you want to do that one piece for your author page, you can decide to do that or not. But that's where you guys will collaborate and cooperate. If you want to write one article, then both of you have to sort of do a hand wrestling and determine what that is. But so there you go.
Okay. Does it have to be, this post, does it have to be specifically about the Scrum team, experience around the Scrum team? Because I'm wondering whether maybe like each of us could focus on different things. So maybe Ria could write about his experience in project management, or myself, and then well, I mean, she doesn't have experience with the team, but I wonder if there is like any flexibility on writing like different things. I mean, different posts.
I think the intention and both of your themes were proper. It's related to the program.
To the program.
Somehow ties into some value within the project management environment. And usually if you're going to talk about the program, it's content that's related to the website. So if you want to go outside, like, let me take something creative, a mom working and trying to get in transition or that kind of thing, that's still valuable. And how this might have an impact or what your hopes are about that. I mean, it can be broad, but it's just keep in mind the program, right? And why part of the program is to promote, your experience in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I could also talk about that in terms of how the program is helping me to pivot into, where I want to go for my next role. So that's why I was wondering whether maybe, we can find, like different topics that we can cover. So each of us will be taking ownership of one of them. So,
yeah.
My 2 cents is that if this is a blog, I think there's room for lots of people. And I know like people who write, people who have their own businesses, websites, they will even sort of get a backlog of blog posts ready to go. So if we feel like we don't want to like publish 2 right away, we could publish 1 and hold 1 for 2 weeks, a month, something like that, so that there's more, there's more activity in the blog too.
Yeah. Okay, I think, I hope I'm saying your name correct, Ria or Raya? Ria.
Yeah,
Ria. Okay, Ria. So let's, whenever you and I align on meeting together, I mean, whether this is via Zoom or just a phone call, let's talk about, how we want to do this.
Sounds good. Sure.
Perfect. Okay.
Wonderful. So now, as my understanding, we have to like scroll down and understand the priority of our product, but PBI teams. And April, what do you think you might work on and have enough time and ability?
Yeah. So I actually dipped my hand back into some actual coding this last week, and it was kind of fun. So I would, and I have some experience. I have my own personal websites on WordPress. So I will also say this standard document storage policy would be, it's something I've done in work before. It would be easy for me to do, and it would not at all be a stretch. So it looks like it's high, and I'm willing to do that, but that's not what would be a stretch for me. So I'm really interested either in the cleanup of volunteers list on the right sidebar or create a contributor welcome page, because those both are digging into WordPress and that sort of thing. And that and a cleanup of volunteers list and right sidebar is, I assume this is in priority order. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd love to, it's right at the top. I'd love to tackle that one.
Go and get it.
I'm with you, Marina.
Huh? What about me?
No, you said go and get it, and I said, here, I'm with you.
Do you have any questions about definition of done of this item? How to do it, or maybe something?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's going to take, no, I definitely think it's going to take some I'm going to need to research stuff.
Yes.
I assume what we want is something that's dynamic, that would like pull from a database sort of thing.
Yeah. So let me clarify that.
Yeah.
We try to outline some of the tasks and Lisa had put really well some of the, whoever takes this should have some knowledge and experience working on WordPress. So what it is I think Seoa, you took a piece of this, something similar to this in the last sprint, and you had to get some guidance. Was it you that
Yeah. I didn't mention this in last week's meeting, but there were some aspects of this one that it's connected with what I did in the last spring. So to your point, that development folder that we created in the Google Drive, we put in there a bunch of information that helped us with creating the volunteer form, with generating the page in WordPress. So there is some information in there that could be useful for you. So it's not any, I mean, once you see the tutorial, it's quite straightforward. So yeah, and when I saw this, I realized that some aspects of this PBI were, I said, like linked to my previous PBI.
Yeah, so let me help as a product owner. April, let me get control of the screen. Go ahead, and we'll come back to this, but let me show you the website, and I'll be able to give you some.
Oh, so stop sharing.
Stop sharing, yeah, and then I'll. All right. What I'll do is I'll share.
Okay.
And, here's our website. Okay, so what we have is right here the volunteer information. This is what we had new in that last sprint, and what we have here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to clean up this list. It's going to get long and it's going to go down 3 miles. So what we want to do is we want to give the immediate team the recognition of the current sprint, right? Okay. So we've already have the top teams here. So as we start this sprint, we need to get this team represented. And while you're in there doing that, it's just one more level further along than we have. See if we can clean these other ones up and put them in a location where people can see. Now that we have a volunteer page, and in there, in the product backlog item, we describe, where, again, I can't tell you how to do this because you have the creativity in it. Again, we did come up with some ideas, and so in the backlog refinement is to either put a place here where people could click on and find and look at the list of previous volunteers. And that way we cleaned up the sidebar and kept it to the most current team.
Okay. So we want the current team to be in the sidebar, and then the rest of the information to be accessed somewhere else, some other way.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you could do it in a way where it's has an approach that's ongoing management. Remember, every sprint we're going to do this, so it's an iterative, it's continual process. So if you could get that established, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so we're looking to have something that is like pulled from a database or something like that rather than hard coded.
Yes, and David had described that there's ways to do that, and there's some plugins. So if you get really complicated, real simple, what you want to do is break it down to where you got to determine what level, right?
Yeah.
What if you want an interim solution, and you don't have enough time within the sprint to get the full solution done, then break it down.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So maybe if I start with hard coded and then
we go to
see how far I get with that.
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be the model to get us to the next step. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Yeah, April. Sorry, Donna. Yeah, go on.
No, I'm just trying to provide feedback. We're stepping on each other, so I'm done.
Okay. Just before I leave, so April, it looks you are taking the challenging way, so I'm glad for you. Great. I mean, I wish I could be as brave as you. If you need, any advice on the easy path, so that's where I was talking about, like the documentation we put in the Google Drive. But it's basically, as you see in that volunteer info page, you see like some blue wording, that's actually actual links, and they take you to a different page in WordPress. So it's linked to a WordPress page. So that will be like the easy route, right? I mean, if the coding doesn't work, you could always create a page in WordPress and then link it here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you, April, also change members for this backlog item from Nancy to yourself?
Okay, so we don't need to look at this anymore. I'll give it back to April.
Okay. Yes. Oh, then that means I should be sharing my screen again, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll let you share the screen. Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to add myself and get rid of Nancy,
Yeah, this screen.
right?
Yeah, let's share your screen.
Oh, did I not? Oh.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You're learning, don't worry.
this is part of the learning experience.
It said share screen and I went yes, and then I forgot to click confirm. Okay, so, and it doesn't matter where in the sprint backlog, these can all just line up, right?
Yeah, do it in the order of probably, best practice is put them in the order they were in. Yeah, so that the team knows right on.
Okay.
What the priorities are based on what it was in the backlog, and then you guys can adjust it later. And at this point, Marina should drive that and look at the sprint backlog after everybody's sort of okay, and then adjust it the way you guys need to do it.
And April, may I also ask you, since Sylvia is not here today, she could not join, but she asked to assign for her training document for Gutenberg item. Announce as well.
So yeah.
Which item? I'm sorry.
It's a training document for Gutenberg.
Yeah, so you'll have to scroll way down.
Yeah, it's not high priority. Let me find. It's fifth from the bottom.
Right there, right. You went too far, I think.
No?
You'll see at the end of the description says Gutenberg, I think.
I think it's 6 or 7 from the bottom to up.
Yeah.
No.
Number 6.
Oh, this one.
Yeah,
That one?
Gutenberg. Yes.
This one?
Yes, V5. Yep.
Okay, and Marina, who is doing this?
Sylvia Ubud.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sylvia Ubud. It's like.
Oh, Sylvia.
Yeah, Ubud.
Abud. Yeah.
I think.
The next one, I think.
What are the S's? Yes.
Yeah, that
There
one.
we go.
And you can put in there. It's actually low priority, but it's a high.
Oh, okay. So I go.
Yeah, perfect. And then internal,
Yeah.
She's considering, so it's not technical. I don't know. It's up to you guys. You guys have to determine what the without her here, it's gonna be difficult. But it's better that you guess than I guess.
Are we guessing a definition of done?
Oh, no, we were just guessing on
On how what the
perceived development effort is.
Yeah, development effort. It's really just an analysis consideration. It's not it's not a technical thing. To some degree, it's not implementing anything. It's just doing a review of what can Gutenberg give us other than from our current Humane plugin. These are not plugins, these are themes. So they're a theme analysis, right? To see whether that theme has better plugins and it has better capabilities than the theme that we're currently in. If you guys aren't familiar with it, we're in a humane, it's called Humane theme, WordPress theme. And she brought up the idea of looking at the Gutenberg thing, and she had some reasons to do so. So basically she's going to write up an analysis, a comparison, and then we'll go from there. So it's more of a research task to come up with a comparison chart so that we can make a decision. And this is probably good because we're recording this, right, Marina?
Yes.
Yeah. So then she'll hear this and either correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I think where we're going. For fact, it is a comparison. As a product owner, I'm expecting at the end of the definition of done is have a comparison chart. What could Gutenberg version 5 get us that we don't already have in the Humane theme? Okay.
Is the definition of, do I put that under description?
Yeah, description has definition of done. Yeah. A comparison between Gutenberg and Humane. It's almost spelled like humane, but it's HUM, just ANE, something like that.
Hello everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes. Hi, David.
Hello everybody. I'm sorry, I'm late a little to the game. Humane is spelled HUEMAN. Is a theme.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm so dyslexic I can't do spellings.
David, I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
HUEM like Mary, AN like Nancy. It's called Humane. It's a theme. Actually, right now I'm looking at our WordPress backend. We have Astra. That's the one we're using. But we have Men 2011 and a bunch of others that are already installed. So we can switch between each other. The Gutenberg is an editing plugin. Right now, our editing capability is really bad based on the one of the, let me go back and I tell you, based on the Yoast SEO plugin. And Yoast SEO plugin, I knew I didn't want to interject when we had a couple of our members some time ago added and wanted to add SEO plugin. What happens, Yoast takes away a lot of good editing capabilities of the WordPress away and starts interjecting its own editing. So it makes it a little more complicated. So Gutenberg had come up with another editing tool. These are good for us, for some of us who like to learn more about WordPress. In the period or the term of us adding our value to our Scrum.
So David,
yes.
Can I stop you right there? It's then based on what you described here, Humane is a theme and Gutenberg is a plugin.
It is a plugin right now.
So let's go ahead and change apples to apples then. Although we know that we're running a Humane theme. But it has what is the plugin compared to the Gutenberg? Do we not have one?
Thank you. No, plugin is something that we enhance.
Keep that in there, April. That'd be great.
Pardon me?
No, April. Yeah, go ahead and keep Humane as a theme, but that's what we're running off of. But both of these will be going under the theme as a plugin. So it's a you go on. There's themes, and then underneath the themes are plugins.
Sure.
So I'm trying to get David to help us describe this so that
sure.
So we're not actually doing a comparison between. I mean, we're not comparing. We're talking instead about adding Gutenberg as a plugin or coming up with a different plugin.
So,
you see,
keep
the theme.
Keep what you have there. Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
The theme is general feel and look of a website that we create. In general, think of the wireframe. We have the navigation system. We have some sort of, in this case, in our case, we have 3-column theme, which has, I'm sorry, yes, 2 columns are for data and 1 column on the right-hand side is for sidebar. That is the theme. In general, this is how we define. Gutenberg is like is an editor plugin. They say I'm right now at wordpress.org/plugin/Gutenberg is more than, per the definition. Gutenberg is more than an editor. While the editor is the focus right now in general, the project will ultimately impact the entire publishing experience. In general, when we had previous editors, and I've worked with editors since 1998, the editing plugin for any content management system is to make some of us who do not have and are not concerned about programming part of what we're doing, and we just concentrate on typing and highlighting to make it bold or italic and other things. These are done by plugins of editors. So we have 5-6 different plugins for editing on different content management systems, and Gutenberg is one of those editor plugins, as opposed to, for instance, Yoast is a plugin for search engine optimization. Now, theme, as I said, is generally defining the bracket of wireframe of a website. In our case, we're using Astra Professional. That's what I think in Scrum 1 we came up with, and we agreed to use that. Then on Spring 2, when we added Yoast, Yoast took away some of the good characteristics of the general plugin that comes with WordPress. Now, if as an editor, if you want to add a blog to our site, our editors are having a lot of hard time to do so because we don't have a good plugin on that. So I'll be ready to work on with anybody who wants to tackle that one, because right now I think I'll try to put some schedule myself to do some experiment myself. Use different backend and see if we can optimize our editing capabilities, because as it is, svprojectmanagement.com doesn't have good editing plugin for our authors, for bloggers to post information on our site.
Okay, so let's help April fill out the description based on this definition. And so April, what you have there so far is good. I think the content is there good, but all we need to do is find some clarification on what current editor are we calling that we currently have as a plugin. Is it none, or do we have one?
As per editing?
Yeah, for the editing. You will leave Humane in there for now. That's right. Fine. But what does our site have right now as an editor? Is it's an inferior one, or we don't have one at all?
It's a general. Let me look into it. So if I look for editor,
this is what we're comparing, April, right?
Right.
Right. Right now, for instance, we have something called exclude page from navigation, which is some sort of editing. Plug-in editor.
So we could just call it the default. We just call it, for simplicity, the default WordPress editor.
It is a default. Right now, we have a default one.
Okay.
And
there you go.
Yeah, it's a default editor that comes with every WordPress application.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that default one is that when we added Yoast YOAST SEO plugin, it has disabled some of the features of editing plugins that comes with WordPress. So on a side note, which has nothing to do with our backlog items, it is my personal thing that I'm going to see how I can fix that.
Okay, not a problem.
Makes sense.
Yes.
I'm doing with my hand because I'm trying to see what I can explain and what I don't want to explain too much. I'm just trying
Right.
to say what is there, what is not. And you remember last week, Donald, I added my blog. Then I wanted to tweak and add a graphic to it, and that just destroyed my first paragraph of the blog.
Oh,
So I
no.
disabled the blog. Oh yeah.
Okay.
These are little things that the site is not so user friendly. So
See, this is how important the Scrum team is to us.
this sprint and the next sprint, we're going to concentrate on technicalities, and we're going to get it hopefully to a point that we start getting more content generators or authors, editors for 2019. Right now, it is.
Let me give you a little piece of good news. Right prior to you hopping on, Sayoa and Ria had chosen the backlog item to put in content, so we're good. Yay! See, so you guys made my sponsor happy.
Thank you.
All right.
Great.
Okay, so I think we got the description here so far, and from what I got from what you told me, Dave, the SEO stepped all over our editor. Now it's a piece of junk, and we need to look at something better. And I'm hoping Sylvia will get a laugh when she hears this recording, but that's what we're after. Now there'll probably be some costs involved, right? Do you think so? Gutenberg cost anything? Would we want Sylvia to do a comparison?
I'm not sure if it costs. I can take a look at it and I will tell you.
Oh, that's okay. Let Sylvia do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good enough.
Hands off.
Okay, there we go. I think, is there anything else we need to provide definition of done here?
Maybe we put a note here for Sylvia that to check if it's cost anything or not, just in case.
If it's Marina's, if it's what?
If it's
Oh, if it including costs.
okay. If it's cost for us anything or not.
Yeah. Include any costs if any. Yeah. Perfect. I think that's a good definition. Done would be if we get that. That's what we're expecting at the review.
Short and good.
Okay.
So far we have 3 product backlog items for the sprint number 4.
Yeah, I think everybody's represented. Is there anyone else? We do have some items that are in the backlog that I still kept the names attached to them because I wasn't sure if Nancy wanted to pick them or not. Did anyone hear from Nancy?
From I have heard like from Nancy, she is not really gonna participate in this sprint number 4 due to being busy, and Whitney cannot join, so we can delete Whitney names from product backlog items and then see who's gonna pick up these PBIs for next sprint.
All right, so then it's good at this point. Then you're free to remove from the backlog items any names for the team. So we'll keep them open for anyone else. That'll probably be the next round.
Yes, and just FYI, this is where the second item that Ria and thank you and Sayo are taking for Scrum team blogs. This is where we return to our Scrum team. I really would like to see our last sprints retrospectives being captured and published, so we have people's name attached to that blog before that sprint, so we start linking. So this would make us our Scrum team having some recognition. and hopefully that would play a better role on that.
Yeah,
We need to have our Scrum Teams blog published with the name of the people who are contributing to our community.
Yeah, David, that came up. Ria actually brought it up. While we're currently within the current sprint, it's hard to get a publication done because the retrospective is done after, right? So we had to work out well, leave it to the Scrum team to come up with a solution, but maybe we need a better defined backlog item that describes that, because that was what they're struggling with in this call. How do you get something that hasn't occurred and get it done before the sprint review, right?
Right. Thank you. And that is part of the agility at large.
Right.
We don't have to wait for the end of sprint to turn around a value that we have created. In general, if we have created a value and our sponsors, our product owners are happy with whatever they have asked for, we can turn around them and make it available right there, right then. Meaning that if Ria and Saiwa, if you feel you are confident, captured whatever we had for past spring by the end of this week, and you're happy with it, send a note to your product or to your Scrum Master and product owner. On the fly, ask them to take a look at it. You get the sign off, you publish. We don't have to wait. This is the spirit of agility. No Scrum team shall wait to the end of the sprint to publish what they have done. If we are creating value for our organization and our Scrum Master communicates with our sponsors and customers, and the definition of done is approved, accepted, that's as good as to go live. Generally in DevOps, continuous improvement defines us to continuously add value to our customers. And in this case, our customer is Donald, our product is our website, and guess what? If you have the blog ready by the end of Friday, by the end of weekend, and it's ready, it shall go out. We don't have to wait for the end of sprint. Make sense?
Yeah, sure.
What I'm getting, the value I'm getting out of this conversation, David, is important and helpful. And the thing is that I'm thinking, for some reason, the other Scrum teams in the previous iterations thought that the retrospective had to be something that wasn't published because it was so personal, and it had, so maybe going forward, we would at least document somewhere the highlights of that retrospective for the rest of the team. So this way, the next team that comes in and wants to publish, which we want to do every cycle, will have some historical information to drive in that next blog. So I don't know where to put that in the backlog, or whether to make it a part of the resource recruiting team parking lot item or something like that. But maybe that's more of a sponsor's discussion later offline.
Yeah. The other thing is that, quite frankly, we learn as we do. And guess what? If in the middle of a sprint, one of our team members come up with an idea, even criticizing ourselves, or have an idea to enhance our process, I'll write the blog about it. Kudo. Let's do it.
Okay. All right, there you go. Hopefully that dialogue was helpful for the team.
Sure.
So we're not changing anything about that sprint backlog item at this point.
No, it's still open-ended, because that has to be, you guys got to form that within your team and come up with how you go about delivering that particular backlog item. It's up to you guys. You just heard what we're thinking as sponsors and product owners, but you have the creativity. You have the bandwidth. That's how you collaborate and you become organizing teams.
So can I I feel like on a high level, when we were talking before about this sprint backlog item, we were talking about making actual blog posts. But I feel like what I just heard was almost more like, how do we, a whole separate one about what is the process, and maybe like creating a template for how do we document what we're doing in this group. And I feel like I almost feel like those are two separate things.
Yes, there are. And April, let me clarify that. Then, so we had sort of a broad conversation about how we're going to provide an awareness of all our historical information, so that when people were in the next sprint, they might be different folks. And it'll be a sort of it's usually a mix. It's some old and some new, and they can get up to speed by looking at a retrospective document that we don't have, and that could be valuable to the next article that they want to write. So that hasn't been put in the backlog. So it's just discussion. We should really have this. This is really what's called the backlog refinement discussion. So we're mixing it up right now. Okay.
In general, no Scrum team or even no Agile team has a set rule that we take from organization A to organization B, and we think that this fit and it works. And
Right. What is the manifesto? Something over something. It was something over process. What is the
Individual
Yes.
and interactions versus process and tools.
And this
Exactly.
is what we're doing right now. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And so if you feel, but right now we are in the process of creating the some sort of policy procedure on what to do and what not. And this is part of rebuilding our own team. I'm trying to bring as many Scrum team as I can. Today we have Silicon Valley's engineering leadership community that I'm going to pitch again about scprojectmanagement.com, hoping that I get some like, of course they are managers of engineering departments. I'm not sure how successful I would be, but for our purpose, we want people to join us. Return to community, about creating our own community, so we can return, we can get connected with our community, and in the process, we learn about agility in general, and this is part of what we're doing.
I think we need to go back to level set. Marina, I'll let you go manage this. Go from here.
So I think we select all product backlog items which we can start to work on. Our sprint is gonna start next Monday, October. October
1st.
Yeah, and as we were discussing today in the beginning of the meeting, our stand-up meetings is going to be once a week, October 23rd and 30th at 9 a.m. via Zoom. I will also send you additional information about meeting in Zoom. And tomorrow I will create a day when we will meet online, like for coffee, and discuss our questions, doubts, and the best practices of agility. And I think the best way is to do it in San Francisco, since the most people is living in San Francisco, but we can also additionally discuss it. And some people is going to be with us online with their own coffee and croissants, I guess.
Yeah. You know, I looked at the date and the time, and I could probably do that. I just want to hop in and just see everybody's faces and their smiles, and then I'll get off. You guys could have some fun, but that I'd appreciate. I'll try to make it remotely. Okay?
And David, you told us about the game, you know, in the beginning of the sprint, which we're supposed to play all together.
I'll create the game for the end of the sprint, and we'll start playing on that and see how it works. There are a couple of things, actually, there are a couple of sites that I shared with you guys. One is Kahoot, and the other one is Quizlet. Quizlet is more for like gigs for who want to do some quizzy kind of thing, and Kahoot is in general just we create some fun question and get online and start interacting with each other. So we'll do, I'll set that up for our next before the retrospective, or even either on product demo or retrospective. Having said that, we need to create more interaction. I'm not sure how many people we have, but from your email, I saw many joining us, Marina. But right now we have only 5-6 of us. So, some of, for example, Whitney's name is in our Trello on a couple of the items, and as a Scrum Master, it'll be nice if you contact her, see if she's available, how many hours. If not, we open these tickets for others. I have a couple of other things in my hand. Otherwise, I'm going to jump in and become a Scrum team member as well, so I can contribute.
So for now, we have like as a development team, Israya, April, Sayoa, Sylvia, which is still under the equation because she was assigned to one of the PBI, but she never get back to me via email or text message. So it means that it's only 3 people for now for sure in the development team. That's why kind of we have 3 PBIs for now.
Cool. No, excellent. You're doing a good job. It's just we need to make sure who are in our Scrum team, sprint teams, and who is doing what kind of productivity and values we're dealing with. So when April and when Ria and Sayo are writing about our blog, they would know and they would capture the name and create the values that each has provided. Because just having 20 people in our roster and 3 people providing values wouldn't be good for our team members, because we're publishing. You see, this is the beauty of what we have. Don't forget, svprojectmanagement.com is the first project management blog, at least in Silicon Valley. So when we're opening everything to everybody, we are in a how can I say, we are in a very open, trustworthy environment. So we want to say, look, if Donald has been doing this for over a year, we want to value and acknowledge that. Enough for that.
Whatever everybody is doing, right? We want everybody to get the credit. So we did talk a little bit about that at the beginning, David, when we actually have an item here to clear up and the sidebar, and that's the one April took, right? So that's very important, probably, April, for you to hear. Also Marina. So Marina, if we want to give the right credit, give us that list and give that to April, and April will publish that on the sidebar of the right team, the number of folks that really.
It's actually, I'm sorry for disturbing you. It's actually a Scrum team onboarding document online on Google Docs. There is information about who is in our sprint number 4 team. I just need to update about Nancy, because she was agreed to be in sprint number 4 and participate, and then she just said that unfortunately for some family reasons she cannot do it. So I will just delete her from this list. There's ready to go.
So, Yeah, I saw that list, but that list, we just said Nancy and Whitney, neither of them are participating in this sprint, so we need to, that sprint 4 list needs to be updated?
Yes, but Whitney is not in this list. It's just opened right now, and I can see it's not. She's not here. Only maybe Lisa, but Lisa is still sometimes she can join our meetings, so she's there. And Nancy is the only one who I have to, update from this list.
Yeah,
I didn't send you the
represented up above in the product owner technical advisors, so she's okay. It's okay to keep her there. And she did participate in the backlog refinement. So yeah, I think if you have a problem, Marina, just run it by me, and I'll approve the list to be sure that we haven't forgotten or overlooked somebody.
So I'm sorry, I can't pull that up that way, but to me, I'm seeing Sprint Team 4. I'm seeing Whitney's name on there. So I guess I can connect offline and figure out.
I will just, let me send it via chat, the link for this document which I'm talking about. Maybe we just.
Yeah, what I'm assuming you guys are looking at is an internal document on the Google Drive or somewhere, but not published on the sidebar yet, right?
Okay.
Because what's on the sidebar is our last sprint team.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the document in the Google Drive folder.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that one we're talking about. We're gonna clean that up. So we're gonna refine what's really the real team at this point.
Okay, I also, in the beginning of next week, I will send you I will create another 2 Google surveys for sprint review date and sprint retrospective date. It's going to be first at the beginning of the November, first week of November. And yeah, I will send you details that you need to participate and we will, and since then I will organize Google Calendar event for both of these meetings. I have a question about Trello. Is it any way somehow we can see in Trello previous backlog items and like the history of it? Like, for example, sprint number 2, sprint number 3, and who and what did? Like which items and which things were doing?
I wish, but let me tell you what we have to do. In the accepted items, we haven't cleaned and put anything that isn't significant in the archives. So everything we had there is, I brought this up in the refinement meeting with Lisa. We need to come up with some kind of an idea of how to do that, because I have the same questions. And now there's so many, you've got in the accepted items, 3 historical backlog items that have been completed by the sprint teams for 3 iterations. So we didn't, this is sort of hindsight, we didn't have, it's technical debt, right? We didn't take the time to go in there and identify which one is. Some of them have clues, others don't. And we could probably narrow it down by, going through it and identifying by date which ones are and which ones aren't. I don't know any better method, but we also need a place to put them, right? So that we can go in. I'm hearing what you're saying, Marina. Can we go in and see our progress and identify those that each one of the sprint programs have done? That what you're looking for, and if that's the case, we can put that as a backlog item and maybe work on it. Any suggestions, David?
Yeah, actually Trello has archiving system, as well as I'm glad you explained about the accepted column that we have. On our accepted column, we haven't checked most of the things that need to be archived. In general, again, Trello is being acquired by Jira, so there is a way to get to the archive level. I'm with Donald on that sense. If we come up with a kind of document that we document what are in our backlog item in a it could be in a Word document, for instance, but that we divide by sections. If we have a section where it says our backlog items are A, B, C, D, X. Our sprint number 3 has taken these many items, out of which these are accepted and they're in acceptance area, and these are our technical debt, and we need to readdress that. We need to have that. As a self-organizing team, we haven't gone there yet.
Let me throw out some ideas. There's a field that I can create when the actual card so right away, as things go, let me suggest this: if things get done and accepted, the reason why we don't put it in the heading is because the heading's already long enough and it gets too complicated. And we tried to put numberings in the heading, and Trello tries to sort them by that number ID, and it does all kinds of funny things when you put them in the card heading. But at the end, as it is, the card is accepted, let me suggest maybe as a interim idea is just to put Sprint 4 on it, write our number 4 on it, and then throw it over into the card, into the accepted pile. And that way we know it came from Sprint 4. But inside there, I have, as an administrator, the ability to add a field. But I'm not sure that field's going to be exposed. You'd have to open it up, and that doesn't help us either. I would like to see the actual card with a number on it. Then we could easily sort them. And as you said, David, I'm not sure where they go after the archive and how to get to the archive, and that's something we need to explore. But I think a solution would be, if this Trello does get acquired or managed by Jira, it's probably safe for us to back it up and put it into a Word file and then throw it into one of our Google Drives. So here we are trying to, we're building a backlog item.
Yeah, without us knowing that we're creating more documentation, we need to capture what we've done, so lesson learned for next generations and generations after. I agree with you, Donald, but we have to do it in a way that, we have to be in a middle ground, so we don't create too many documents and documentation that we get buried under tons of information. Yet again, we need to capture the history of what we have done, where we've come from, and how we're doing. Just because David wants to be part of a Scrum team wouldn't do much. We all have heard that Scrum is really easy to learn. It's really hard to get mastered, and that is the process we're going through. It is how we create our own team, and we get together and we become strong team by doing things. I have to be more proactive. It's in part my shortcoming because I'm buried under a few other projects, but I'll try to be more proactive. That's a promise.
How could you squeeze blood out of a rock, David? You're swamped. So, no, I appreciate you even. Being part of this is fantastic that you could be in here and helping us. It's giving the team some perspective on what the sponsor's thinking, and that's really important. I think it's valuable for them. So thank you. Okay, Marina, so you got the schedule done. Anything else you need to wrap up with?
Can I ask a procedural question?
Yeah, of course.
So I see a column for sprint backlog and sprint in progress. Does that mean as soon as I start working on my backlog item, it goes to what's the point of the in progress column? Let me just ask the bigger question.
Well, two things. I'll let Marina do that, but just to let you know, there's a resource recruiting parking lot, and there's sprint backlog management and some of the help files there, but to relieve you to have to go and sort that out.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave that to Marina to answer because that's her role. I'm going to come up with that. Okay, you're on mute, Marina. We like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was a little bit disturbed. And what was your question? Why sprint in progress? What's different between sprint in progress and
the sprint backlog? But if it's in the, I can go back and read the orientation documents again and understand.
No, that's not it, April. We want to answer that question. I'm just giving Marina an opportunity to try that.
Okay, yeah. So what's the difference between those two columns? When does something go in the backlog column, and then when, if at all, does it move into the in progress column?
so from my perspective, I might be wrong since I'm still practicing. And sprint in progress, as you answer, it's once you start to work on it, it's we can see that it's in progress. But let's ask the team if they're or not.
Oh, it's coming back to me now. Okay, so the backlog are the things that we've accepted, and as soon as we start to work on it, then we move it into in progress and going, hey, we're actually doing something with this. We've actually started to make work on this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And yeah, blocked is this one which we have impediments.
Yeah.
Yes,
Here's a scenario. I'm going to give you a user story. Right here's what I expect to see on the first sprint your stand up. When is the sprint start? Right? When does the sprint start, Marina?
Sprint start next week, Monday.
Okay, so they could stay there in the sprint backlog column until Monday, but by the time you do your stand up, you better have something for progress to show, right? So I would assume, I'm just saying, I would assume that I'd see all of them in the sprint in progress by the time you are in your stand up on Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm trying to let you guys self-organize, right? I'm only throwing that out there.
I want to throw that back to yourself, April.
Throw it back to me.
What do you think we should have on sprint in progress?
Well, it would seem to me that if I've started to, it is no longer this. To me, I would see the difference is the backlog is anything that anything that's in progress is actually changed from. There's some change in it from the last product backlog grooming session. So in other words, if we get to, when we get to the end of the sprint, also I guess for me, I'm thinking when we get to the end of the sprint, we've got things in done, we've got things in, theoretically we've got things not only in done, but we've also got things in accepted. We've got in progress, we may have in progress things that didn't get done. And so then at the end of, at our sprint review meeting, we got to review those in progress items. Theoretically, if we have something in the sprint backlog, it means we get to that sprint review and we go, geez, theoretically, like that could be an indicator of, as a group, if we've got multiple things in that backlog item, when we get to the sprint review, we are committing to way too much. And then we need to have some conversations about, as a group, what we're committing to. And also, they can go just right back to the product. They can go back one column without any discussion because we know there's been no work done on them. But also, before you do that, you would go, dude, we got 5 items in our sprint backlog that we haven't even touched. Like, why are we're way over committing as a team.
But we can also see it and track it during our sprint, daily stand-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yes, you're right. We'd be looking at that long before we got to our review, wouldn't we? We'd be going, oh, hey. Hey!
Unfortunately, now we have a stand-up meetings once a week. That's why sometimes it's not replicable, but it's also my work to keep an eye on it and see the team doing well. And
Yeah, I may have 5 items that I have committed. It's based on commitment-based project management.
Right.
On the sprint backlog, I may have 5 items that I want to do. At a given time, I can do only 1 item. The item that I'm working, I would move from sprint backlog to in progress, so people would know that what I'm working on, while I have 4 others still in my queue.
Thank
So
you,
if
David.
I have, let's say, an item that April's item depends on what I produce, I pick up that item first. I put in my sprint progress. As soon as I'm done with it, I flag April. So that item is done. I go to my next item. So everybody would be in loop as who is doing what is in progress. So if, for instance, Ria's item depends on my second item to be done, she can flag me. David, I'm still waiting for you. So I can jump in and put that item to my in progress column, letting her know that I'm working on it. While my first item is done, I flagged April saying that my first item is done. Without saying anything, my second item would be in progress. So Ria would know that I'm working on the item that her job depends on me. So in that way, we smoothen the communication among us.
And just because of the nature, because we've each only chosen one thing and none of them depend on each other, because
Right now.
this particular project is so small, we would expect by Wednesday at our first stand-up, everything's going to be in the in progress column. But that's just the nature
Yes.
of this particular sprint and this particular team.
Yes,
and
this
items.
is for now. For now. Now, if we have three Scrum team working on SVPM, and they're all working on the sprint backlog, the situation would change, right?
Right.
Marina, it's your.
Thank you.
Marina.
yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much for the presentation and for being able to let us learn and make things more transparent for us. Yeah. So I think we are all done. If anybody, Raya, do you have any questions? I think if you have any questions, we are ready and glad to answer. If not, then we can finish. Raya, sorry.
Yeah, so I've actually separately messaged Marina asking her to sort of go through the recording of the part where David is explaining what is expected out of the blog, because she had to leave halfway through. So I think if she listens to David's perspective, it'll be really clear for the both of us, so that we're actually planning to have a chat on figuring out what we can do next. So I think it'll be really good if she gets to listen to what David has to say. And I believe the recording will be shared anyway, right?
Yeah, of course. I will share the recording today right after our meeting. I'm sorry, my mistake. I started to record 5 minutes late. I don't know, second time, but I promise. Like David did. That's
Hey, you could ask one of your team members to remind you. If you both forget, then you can't blame each other, but that's fine.
So we're in.
That's fine. I don't think there's too much critical in the first 5 minutes. It was mostly chit chat anyhow. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we are all helping each other, so there is nothing to criticize or even being sorry or anything. We're just learning by doing, and I appreciate that. One other thing is that I'm going to do, if I can, If I see anything from our product backlog, small item that I can do, I'm going to move it to sprint in progress and do whatever I do. I write the comment, and if it's not finished, we talk at the product demo, and we can move that back into the product backlog. This is just a practice, a good practice by every team member, meaning that we are here for creating the values that we think we can. And that's the best way of getting together and becoming a team. Thank you so much, Marina, for all your help. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, David, for everything. And yeah, let's learn, let's get experience, add value to what you do, and thank you once again for giving us chance to learn.
Right. All right.
Let's meet next week and finally feel each other, because it's quite complicated for me to be only on the screen. So
Yes.
yeah, from the distance, it's not my thing.
I can't wait to see you guys. I can't tell you that.
I really wish I could be there. So maybe
That includes you, Donald. You know.
I'll be there remotely and in spirit. So we'll
I think if it's called Silicon Valley Project Management, so every one of you have to be here in Silicon Valley.
I can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.